everybody. Welcome back to episode 84 of the Simply Well Podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or even the occasional comic, we got the show for you. I tried to consciously slow that one down because I heard Morgan listen to the podcast last week, and it sounded like I was just on cocaine. We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or an occasional comic, then we got the show for you. You're like, what the fuck is that man saying?
What's that one kid from the Wild Thornsberries?
Yeah, the fucking the kid,
The feral boy.
Yeah, feral boy raised by wolves. Let's see. This week we watched literally just before recording this, we watched the premiere of Loki season 2, our first dip back into Marvel because we skipped out on
Secret
Invasion. Yeah, so I couldn't even remember what the. Yeah, apparently not great. We haven't skipped any movies though. Just that I think that's the only series we've skipped so far. But we've been talking some schmack about superhero fatigue. And so I thought, well, we'll give it a little.
Hopefully we'll wet our whistle.
Loki was one of the few series that I felt like was consistently pretty decent.
He's not a superhero though.
Well, I mean,
He's just some dude.
He's literally a god.
He's Dave.
He's just come on. He's just Loki. You know?
He's keeping it low key.
Oh my god, I bet that's never been said before.
The Rizzler, bruh.
But no. So you figure I liked WandaVision. I liked Loki a lot, and then the other series kind of were hit or miss. Had some ups and downs, but
All mid.
for the most part, mid to fine, with some bright spots.
I am disgruntled.
Ooh, What If?
Gas.
Yeah.
What If wasn't very good.
Shit. She-Hulk. We liked She-Hulk.
I'm looking back at it now. I mean,
You doing what now?
I'm look back at it, and I'm like looking how they
Are you
just
sexist?
threw how they just threw Hulk's son in there,
Yeah.
and it's like, what?
Yeah, but that's not a reflection of the whole series.
No, but like
The last 2 minutes of the last episode don't negate the whole series.
I'm not saying it does.
All right.
I'm just saying that part really frustrated me.
No.
Yeah.
Did it frustrate you because people pointed out that it was kind of mid on the interwebs, and then you went, oh, man.
No, I guess there's
Because the internet has that vibe, doesn't it? Of they love everything or hate everything when it first comes out, and then everything kind of reaches entropy over time, where it's just it turns out that was just fine. Whether it was hated or loved, it was in a few years, it was just fine.
No.
You don't think so? You don't think the internet does that?
Not for me. I mean, people have always said heating up about Obi-Wan. She-Hulk, man. No, I've never had any problems with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I think She-Hulk's always got bashed on. I don't think...
Well, yeah, because it's a woman. And
right.
Unfortunately, the world in general, but especially nerd fandom, has a strange,
Men are better.
Yeah, well, it's got a bias against women.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Unless they're super fucking sexualized.
Right, yeah, exactly. You figure even She-Hulk in the comics...
Pretty sexualized.
Was a pretty sexualized, where somehow they've got poses in the still photos where both their tits and ass are shown in one, how's she contorted that way?
Mean green and poured in these
jeans. Yeah. Where at least the series kind of leaned into that, was yeah, what it is, And she was owning her sexuality as opposed to being sexualized.
Right.
But all of that to say, we watched Loki. But before we give our thoughts on the premiere and our first little dip back into Marvel, we want to talk about, we got a maybe final update on the Unity situation. The
Unity.
game engine. Unity. I think we do that every time we say Unity. It's Pavlovian.
Every day.
A strange bit of history repeating itself in the gaming industry as well. More bad news from the fucking Gollum game.
Damn.
Whole scenario. The game that was so bad that the studio stopped making games.
Yeah, we got shut down. We got to close it up. Somehow it gets worse than that.
Yeah. We have an official, release date. I don't know how the best way to phrase it. A start date for that interactive streamed Silent Hill project.
Oh, I remember
that they announced.
Yeah.
Ascension. We've got an official release for that. And then kind of not in line with the rest of the stories, but something I thought was noteworthy. Chris Rock is directing a biopic. Like the comedian Chris Rock is directing a film about Martin Luther King Jr. So, if you're ready, I figure we'll just start with Unity.
We know who's not playing in that movie.
Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Yeah, he's probably not got a role. Mm-mm. Yeah. No, probably I would be. That would be a fucking twist, wouldn't it? And Chris Rock's not like, unless he's producing, which I believe he may be producing. In which case, if he is producing, no fucking negotiations to direct and produce. So yeah, no shot. Will Smith's anywhere near this movie. Mm-mm. But anyways, let's start with Unity. Yeah. So Unity CEO John Riccitiello is stepping down in wake of the installment fee issues, right? So, quick recap, right, was that Unity said, hey, we're going to charge the developer for everybody that downloads the game, not purchases it, installs it, and it was over certain thresholds. But either way, the thresholds were pretty low, all things considered, when it was compared to other engines in the market. And there were a lot of flaws brought up. And, all in all, it was just a bad strategy. Nobody liked it. You had pretty major figures in the gaming world basically being like, hey, fuck you, Unity. And Unity very quickly, like within a week, was like, psych, we rolled that back. We're going to reevaluate and, we'll get back to you, right? Well, it's been a couple quiet weeks on that. And now, he is, it says here, the exact wording is, Unity's John Riccitiello is retiring as president, CEO, chairman, and member of the board of the directors, effective immediately. So they basically went, hey John, you're out, bub. Yeah. The board probably voted unanimously and went, get him out of here, because our stocks are tanking, our public image is shot. Like you and I had talked about that. Even if they fix this, I don't know that they can fix it. Which is why he may be a scapegoat. They fire him, kick him out of the board, everything. He's not involved in the company at all.
Starting clean.
And then, if that comes up in the future, they'll be like, that was a decision made by a CEO who the board deemed unfit for the position, and we've moved on to new leadership and things like that, And so he might be the scapegoat where they can just place the blame solely on his shoulders. But like we talked about, this, I cannot pronounce his last name, so I'm just going to call him John. John has a history of this behavior. You figure we talked about him being at EA, and he was a big reason why there was such a push for microtransactions in EA games, and they still have that problem.
Get him the fuck out of here, bro.
So I think it's very possible that he was a sole, mover on this, and get him out of there, right? And so a gentleman named James Whitehurst is going to be appointed as interim CEO. And he's going to lead an independent director of the Unity board. Rolf Botha has been appointed chairman. So the board will commence a search process to try and find their permanent CEO. So we'll see what develops out of that. But it was such a bad feedback that he literally lost his job. He's no longer involved at all. Not on the board of on the board of directors or anything. So good. That's what you get.
Yep.
Fucking loser.
Ligma.
I didn't realize it was 2013. Ligma balls. Hey, man. I'm not going to be in school tomorrow. I think I got a bad case of Sugma. Sugma? What's Sugma? Sugma balls. Oh! And that shit got people, too.
Yeah.
Now it just seems so... I don't know. I mean, it was always lowbrow and childish, but... because the newness of it felt clever,
The one I hit you with.
Yeah, we can't even bring that one up because it was so not PC, But it got me good.
Dude, it was so fucking...
I was mad about it, but I also couldn't help but just... I was also very, strung thin. That wasn't during COVID because you were here, you were living with us. And you didn't live with us during a pandemic. You, in fact, moved out, on the day that the president declared a national emergency.
I believe so.
I'm at work, and you're just coming to get fucking house keys, and I'm like, I can't talk. The world's crashing down around us. And you're like, what's going on, man?
My world's crumbling around me.
So we talked about how history has a way of repeating itself. Well, I don't know if you are familiar. About 5 years ago, Telltale Games, who made the Walking Dead episodic game,
Yep.
The Wolf Among Us, which is a favorite of mine, and a slew of other episodic games. About 5 years ago, they laid off everybody and closed doors, and through some investors and buyouts and things like that, the developer was revived, teams were reassembled, and they finished out the Walking Dead series, and then announced a couple years back, hey, we're making an episodic game based on The Expanse, which is a pretty popular sci-fi property. And I think they did a Star Trek game as well.
Oh.
And they said, hey, we're making The Wolf Among Us 2. And everybody was like, oh my God, stop. Cut it out. Well, they've laid off, the quote is, most of their staff.
Oh, word.
In early September. So here's the phrasing here. This is from PCGamer.com. Word of the layoffs first began circulating when Jonah Huang, a former cinematic artist for the developer, published a series of tweets that claimed Telltale had let go, quote, most of its staff in early September, adding that he was unable to comment on the status of The Wolf Among Us 2, which was delayed earlier this year, thanks to being under NDA. And that's the real tragic part. He was part of the original Telltale games and lost his job then to layoffs.
Damn.
Just 5 years later, after like a comeback story, everything's working. This is a revival, because Telltale Games is really the only developer doing that type of game consistently and well.
Right.
And to then have that just kind of happen again, it's pretty heartbreaking for people who obviously care about their product, right? But he ended his tweet thread by saying, Telltale gave me a good deal this time around, but still it ended the same way most jobs in games do. A layoff, not a retirement. I asked my fellow game devs to fight for better. Obviously, the developer was silent at the time, but they've now confirmed through a statement on Twitter that a percentage of his team has been laid off, with a quote, due to current market conditions, we regrettably had to let some of our Telltale team go recently. We did not take this action lightly, and our commitment to storytelling and finding new ways to do so remains the same. We are grateful to everyone for their dedication along this journey, and we are working to support everyone impacted. Now, I do know that, like they say here, that statement doesn't comment on The Wolf Among Us 2 specifically, but somebody had asked about it, and they just said, all projects in development are still in production. We have no further updates at this time. So it sounds like they're not saying anything's off the table.
Right, but they're saying nothing's moving right now.
Yeah, and apparently their Expanse game just didn't.
I don't want to fucking play their shit anymore if they're laying off their people.
Well, so I think that's the problem, right? Is they don't have the money. So they're having to lay off people. So I think the best thing you could do is play their shit to try and help them fund.
I ain't buying it.
Yeah, I mean, they can't generate funds, right? If they don't have. The problem is nobody played The Expanse, I think, is a big part of it, where unfortunately these types of games are kind of a niche product. And so the bigger the budget on a project like that,
the harder it is.
Harder it is to justify it, And I think, I do wonder if that type of game's time has passed a little bit.
A little bit.
I mean, I feel it is a very 2012 kind of feel to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
The Walking Dead game is still one of my favorites, but I don't think they've ever, like The Wolf Among Us as well is up there, but that's 10-year-old games,
right?
And I don't think they've ever touched that again. As far as like, fuck, man, you've got to play that.
Yeah.
Even some of the follow-up seasons to the Walking Dead game didn't touch the first season, and so I think they are in a really strange situation of like they're just chasing their own high, their own peaks, and they just can't reach them, and they're not, because they've kind of like, oh, Telltale Games, they make episodic games. And then if they come out and say, well, we're making a non-episodic game, they're in a weird pigeonhole where people who love them because of their episodic games are like, well, I don't know if I want to play a different thing.
Right.
And people who only know them for episodic games are like, aren't they the people that only do episodic games? I'm not going to see, I'm not giving them a time of day. And I think they're just kind of a bygone thing, unfortunately.
Sucks to suck.
The best thing they could hope for would just be a buyout. Just get gobbled up by one of the by Microsoft or Sony, which seems to just be the state of things.
Yeah. Disney comes sweeping along.
Yeah, right.
Disney dips into gaming.
Apple. You figure Apple's looking for to expand into gaming. Maybe they come in and buy up Telltale. Because honestly, I think mobile might be a place where that type of game could still do well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because it kind of cuts out some of the limitations of using a touchscreen.
Mobility.
You know, and it's like, I've got the Walking Dead game on my phone now, and I can just... Which I think it is available on mobile. But to just, maybe. But I don't see that being I don't think there's enough value there for Apple to go, we'll buy you up. But so, this may be the first, death rattle for Telltale Games again, which is a real shame. I remember I was pretty beat up when the first time it happened, and now it just feels kind of cruel. You know what I mean? It feels like, God damn, just...
There's almost a sense of relief when they die, so you know that the pain's over.
Like, my God, this just isn't fair. And again, I just feel
let them die in peace.
Just let them go. I feel really bad for all of the people, but especially the people like David Huang, who just this is their second time. Jonah Huang. That's not fun at all. To be like, this is a fun. I'm getting punked, right?
You're fucking with me.
You're fucking with me. Nuh-uh. In the same vein of video game developer closures. Apparently, Daedalic Entertainment's Gollum apology was written by ChatGPT.
You're fucking with me.
The studio didn't even get approval on it. They just fucking went, hey, ChatGPT, give me an apology for making a piece of shit game. And then went, yeah, it sounds good. Post it.
Damn.
So.
How'd they find that out?
That's what we're going to get into here. So this is a report from a German outlet, Game 2. They talked to former employees of Daedalic about Gollum and what went wrong, before and after its release. And partly, one of the nuggets of, info was that Daedalic Entertainment itself says that Gollum ended up with a development budget of 15 million euros, only a tenth of a AAA game, which is low budget for a game positioned like it was. So it's a kind of a strange thing where they didn't fund it, right? And then it turns out that the apology wasn't from the studio at all. Daedalic saying that this apology was not from Daedalic, but from Nacon, which is the game's publisher and owner of Daedalic. So it wasn't Daedalic doing it. It was the other way around. It was their owner going, we got to get ahead of this thing and apologize for this. So that's a real slap in the face to the people that made the game.
Yeah.
Is their parent company went, fuck. This game is so bad, we got to apologize for it.
Damn.
And then close doors.
Damn.
So, yeah. That's like ChatGPT is in everything, but then for them to just not even have the courtesy to write
what's
up
so hard about being like, oopsie.
Yeah. And I mean, like, to go, I don't even know how to say, we're really sorry we let you guys down, so let's just get AI to do it. And then not
just say, hey, sorry we really let you guys down.
Yeah, which this obviously isn't what we wanted it to be either. We're big fans of the property and all that. But yeah, the only thing that I didn't gather from the article I was reading was if that was how Daedalic discovered that they weren't making any further games. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I'd wondered about that, if that's how they found out.
Right.
Oh, guess what? According to this,
you're out of a job.
According to this AI-generated apology, you guys don't have a job anymore. The future is now. That's some Black Mirror shit right there. You good, my guy?
I love Black Mirror.
Are you getting ready to fall out of your chair? Uh-oh.
God damn.
You know what I especially love about these stands is how they have legs to stabilize them so you don't hear.
Yeah, but I like leaning back.
Yeah, well, I mean, best of both worlds, right? So Silent Hill Ascension, which is this like Twitch-based streaming show, I guess is the best way to describe it, is going to be an interactive series. It's beginning on Halloween, which is pretty fitting. It begins on October 31st, obviously. According to the executive producer of the show, they say we don't sell magic swords to level you up for PvP arenas, because apparently there's a common fear that like, okay, how are they going to make money from this thing? Are they going to like free to play it, but you got to basically pay to play kind of deal, or pay to win. Let's see here. Ascension's set to begin on October 31st, and while the marketing makes a big deal about how viewers will, quote, shape Silent Hill canon forever, there's plenty of skepticism about what sounds like Twitch chat plays trauma-based survival horror, especially regarding the fact that mobile version mentions in-app purchases, is what has people kind of like, oh. They say, this is from the CEO of Genvid, which is the executive producer of Silent Hill Ascension. They said on Twitter, if people are afraid of weird free-to-play monetization, it's not a game. We don't sell magic swords to level you up for PvP arenas, right? They compare the in-app purchases to a Twitch subscription, saying in-app purchase is similar to Twitch channel perks and customization of the community viewing experience. We'll have puzzles you can do each day, chat emotes and stickers to unlock, etc. If people want to turn off chat, they can do that too. Then it just becomes like Netflix. So that makes sense. Yeah. That if you want to buy a sticker pack or whatever, here you go, right?
Right.
But you don't have to give us money.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So
they say here, this is according to Novak, you do not need to be there live. There are some things that are only available live, but I set a rule early in production that anything that changes the story outcome needs to be able to be participated in asynchronously. So Genvid is apparently also working on an interactive series based on Borderlands called Borderlands Echo Vision Live, and one set in the DC universe. So this may become a new type of
streaming
media, I guess. Yeah, it's like a live interactive streamed series. And I do think, depending on how it goes with Silent Hill, since it seems like it's going to kind of be the canary in the coal mine, it'd be interested to see more things like that genuinely impact canon.
Yeah.
Like they're talking about whatever happens in this is going to be officially
this is a
thing that happened in Silent Hill. And so that's kind of interesting that like you get to kind of impact that world that you're probably a fan of if you're participating in it. And like I said, to see if that does go well, maybe something like DC goes, hey, this is officially canon. Is in DC, this happened because you guys picked it. Which you figure, the death of Robin in Death in the Family was literally voted on by readers of the comics. They got to call into a number and vote yes or no on whether Robin was dead or not. And so, I mean, it's always been something that comics did, or at least tried to get engagement. So I guess it could just be a new version of that,
Interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the idea. I wouldn't be surprised if it failed either. You know what I mean? Some of the, big swings generally have big misses. So
wing and a miss.
But, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, But yeah, talking about Chris Rock directing this Martin Luther King Jr. biopic, I was trying to get a vibe on if this was his directorial debut, and I couldn't find. Yeah, so he directed something called Top 5 and Head of State in 2003, which I didn't know that. And he directed I Think I Love My Wife, which starred him. So I kind of have that experience a lot sometimes where I'll find out that an actor just also does directing. And, because sometimes it's made a big deal, I feel like, where they're like, what's his nuts? Bradley Cooper is directing A Star is Born,
Right.
And you're like, oh, wow, he directed this too. And it comes that kind of chatter. But then you got Chris Rock directing like his 5th film. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that he did directing.
Do it on the side, on the low.
And I always like that because it means that they generally have a pretty good, I guess, vibe for what they're actually out to do.
Yeah.
And they can kind of understand the other side, especially when they make the jump from acting to directing, as opposed to like a director like Quentin Tarantino, who's like, well, I'm just going to put myself in the movie,
Get feet in there.
I'm going to get some feet in there. I'm going to say the N-word. And I'm going to get a pass because it's in the script. I did write the script.
God damn, Jimmy.
And you're like, no, wait a minute.
Go on me, shit.
Yeah, you're like, well, now, wait a minute. Why does he always have the N-word in his lines?
I'm going to say the N-word.
Yeah. Alrighty, I guess.
Okay.
Quentin, you're a weird dude, but you write some good dialogue, so I guess the world gives him a pass. But no, it's going to be a life examination of Martin Luther King Jr. So I do wonder how they plan to do that. Are they going to do multiple actors through the years, or is it going to be one actor and then they age them up, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's based on a book called King a Life. It's an awarded book. It's a more recent biography about Martin Luther King, and apparently it drew upon some of the new like FBI information on King, which I think that's always kind of interesting. Is like, there's always been that knowledge. Well, I say always. Relatively recently, we've gained the knowledge that the tinfoil hat people who said, "Oh, it turns out the FBI had files on all of these people," fully did, and we're following them around. You figure for a long time there was the theory that the FBI killed Martin Luther King Jr., and that wasn't released in the files. But the idea that they had been following him around and recording his life was true. And so it's like, oh man, so to get a more intimate view of like, here's the things that aren't just. I would like to see it be more than just here's the the mythological figure Martin Luther King Jr. and like here's the man, because I mean everybody's got flaws, and so I think it'd be interesting to see that kind of
what his are.
Yeah, and that kind of tends to be an issue with biopics a lot of times is they're more like puff pieces, Not that I'm saying we need to drag Martin Luther King Jr. through the mud, but you can humanize him, and go, he wasn't perfect, but he made great change, and because you figure. The Bohemian Rhapsody kind of just completely brushes over anything that happened to Freddie Mercury. They kind of like go, here's where they performed at Live Aid, and then here's a quick glimpse of him at the end of his life, and then the movie's over. And it's like, he had a lot of life outside of the band,
right?
And so they kind of turned it into a Queen biopic with Freddie Mercury as the star. I just there was a version of that movie that was supposed to be with Sacha Baron Cohen playing Freddie Mercury, and he wasn't wanting to play it comedy. He was wanting to play it straight, but kind of show you, hey, here's all the drug use and the sexuality, and he was kind of a fuckhead because he was drunk and high, and he was also a great artist, and apparently the family and the band were like. The band was like, well, what about the rest of us, And the family were like, well, we don't know that we want to drudge all that up, which is fair, But so that project kind of died on arrival and then turned into Bohemian Rhapsody. So that's always been an issue with biopics, I think. And so I'd like to see something more honest, I guess.
Right.
Who knows? You're about to knock that popcorn on the floor. Why don't you just move that back instead of gingerly trying to avoid it? Perfect. Thanks.
Perfect.
So we watched Loki, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's all right.
I mean, it does the thing that a premiere has to do of like, don't forget, here's what we were doing. Though I don't think this one leaned too heavily into don't forget this is what we were doing. It was kind of like, we'll give you a last time on Loki at the beginning, and then just drops us right back in the action where the last season left off. Does set up some questions that, hopefully we'll get answers to, right? Introduces a new wrinkle. We're just going to full spoiler it because it's, it's a premiere episode. Yeah, and it's about 45 minutes long. Loki is obviously frazzled because he's coming freshly off some bombshell revelations from He Who Remains at the end of time. That, hey, the whole reason the TVA is in place is because there was a war between a bunch of me variants, and they all wanted, to kind of destroy things. And I might be a bad guy. You might think I'm a monster. I was the best of us, you know.
I was the one trying to keep structure to it.
And I won. And I set the TVA in place to keep me variants from arriving, And the reason why this is the sacred timeline is because this is the timeline where I won. And it keeps everything in order. And so, Sylvie doesn't necessarily buy into it and thinks it's a ploy to keep himself alive. Loki's a little bit more level-headed and it's like, we don't know enough to know he's wrong.
Right.
And Sylvie kind of calls the bluff, kicks Loki through a time gate, and then shanks He Who Remains, and the timeline very quickly begins to fracture, And that's where we start off as, Mobius and, was it B-15? One of the timekeepers is watching the branches all form, and, it's whack, 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 because it's redlining. And Loki is... what do they call it? Time slipping, where it seems like he's being ripped apart and pulled through time.
Yeah, but he says it's not that painful.
Yeah, he says it's not that painful. It looks awful.
Yeah.
And at first we were thinking it was 2 different timelines that he was being pulled between. But then it seems more like actually...
Like in the future and the past.
Yeah, the future, past, and the present. Which was a neat little wrinkle towards the end there of like, oh, okay, it isn't just the past and the present. He's also being pushed into the future, which I think is why that crack had always been in the floor. You know what I mean? It's because he went to the past, dropped the thing, and then they wiped everybody's memory.
Future. Yeah.
And went to the present, which was now, and they're like, oh yeah, it's always been there, you know. I did really like the, like, I don't know if you'd call it a paradox, but the overlapping time play when they went to Ki Kwan.
He's like, no, I don't remember. And then, like, a couple minutes later, he's like,
actually, wait a minute. And it's because simultaneously in the past, Loki is having a conversation with him. And so he's kind of getting like a live update to his memory of like, oh, actually, no, this has now happened in my past. I thought that was a pretty interesting way to show it. And they also just keep cutting and flipping between the 2 conversations.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I got the hiccups.
The cups.
It got the bad case of the cups. What type of cup? The hiccups.
The hick.
The hick kind. But no, I really enjoyed that. First of all, I just really like me some Ki Kwan. I'm glad that he's got more roles.
Yeah.
Hopefully he becomes a fixture in the show. Because again, more Ki Kwan.
Yeah.
He does play kind of a wacky do because it seems like he's been mostly alone.
He's in a 1-person department, but the thing is,
he's in the basement.
But he has to continuously do it, or else he'll get backed up real quick.
Because it's a 1 department.
Because it's a 1 department, so he just doesn't sleep or nothing.
Doesn't sleep, doesn't eat. He just works. And here's how alone he is. Mobius went to the wrong floor 400 years ago, and to Obi, which is what they Ouroboros, that was noteworthy. You know, it's like, hey, old friend, because I've seen your face. It's like, damn, that's a lonely man.
And he said that he was the last person to visit him.
Yeah, so it's been 400 years since he's seen a person, which is wild. But he's the guy that knows shit about how to fix stuff, and the fucking all the timelines are. That was it starts to get a little in depth on like where there's the writers are like, all right, well, what's the conflict of this episode? All the time is flowing into the generator that we use to power the place, and it's overflowing because there's more than one timeline now. So we got to fix that real quick. The episode was basically introducing a problem to then fix it. Which is like whatever, but it's also very much supposed to be like a Doctor Who type show.
Yeah,
and that fits. I mean, that's a pretty bottle episode type deal. The question does keep coming up for Loki of where the hell Sylvie is. The TVA seems to be fracturing a bit, where Mobius and B-15 are trying to explain to like whatever semblance of leadership is left after. Oh God, what's her name? Reaver or whatever.
Yeah.
The commander at arms or whatever.
Creeper.
What'd you call me?
Oh,
after
man.
she dipped, she just abandoned ship at the end of last season. She grabbed her shit and went through a time gate, and you're like, oh, what's she up to?
Yeah.
Where'd she go?
Yeah.
And so she's gone. Basically, the head of the snake's gone.
Yeah.
TVA's like, what the fuck's happening? Because half of them are like in the know and think this is a good thing, and the other half don't know the truth, which is that they're all real people who've been basically kidnapped from their timeline and brainwashed. And that when they're pruning a branch, they're effectively committing genocide.
Mass genocide.
Like ending an entire universe. Which is horrendous to think about. And, trillions upon trillions of people dying.
And again, this is where I think Marvel's getting a little good, because it is that question of...
But what's the
cost if they don't do that?
If they don't do that, is there a multiversal war that results in the deaths of those trillions anyhow? And so, yeah, it's that crazy thing of like, if we prune it now, is it really death? Because you're talking about death of potential people that never exist.
Right.
And it's a real sketch situation, right? And there's no good answer to it.
I don't think so.
But like Mobius even poses the question, do we even tell them the truth? Because for a lot of these people, this is their whole, for all of these people, this is their sole mission. And they look at the timekeepers as like deities, and to then come to them and be like, hey, those guys were literally animatronics.
Yeah, they weren't real.
And you've been committing genocide, by the way. So
everything
are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies? It's like, yeah, you are, I think. And then, for them to think mission accomplished, and then now Loki's coming back and being like, I think we fucked up. You know what I mean? And so now they're in a weird spot of like, do we fix it? How do we fix it? Do we just start pruning timelines again? Who knows, right? So I think that's where they're going to try and probably find the perfect solution. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? How can we avoid Kang variants, or do we go through time and stop Kang variants? I am wondering if they're going to go through the timelines and try and find He Who Remains. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And try and put him in place before it gets out of hand.
Right.
Potentially. Maybe.
That would make sense.
Because I do wonder if that's why they introduced the idea of time travel within one timeline, as opposed to branching timelines.
Yeah, because I was going to say, what if he traveled back in time and was able to stop Sylvia?
Right.
From ever
before
killing
it
him
ever happens. Right.
Stamping it. That's my prediction.
You think so? But also, I think that's going to be their goal. But if we're going to end up with a multiversal war out of this, or a Kang the Conqueror, he's got to come out on top in some fashion.
Yeah, well, he almost smoked Ant-Man.
Yeah. And you figure, wow, that probably wasn't the real one.
No, that was
because you figure we saw the Council of Kangs. And so that they may end up being the bad guy of the MCU, is that it's the Council of Kangs as opposed to...
Well, yeah, they're the most powerful ones as the Council. Because he's the one that was exiled, which we all think was like that he was the weakest one.
Yeah, exactly. If he's the one that got kicked out by all the others, then obviously they're more powerful. Yeah. I do wonder, because we did get some like brief news. I didn't put it in our news because it was kind of a nothing story, but the director of the Fantastic Four movie did say that they are planning on starting filming in the beginning of 2024, and that basically as soon as the SAG strike is over, they'll be able to announce the casting of the Fantastic Four.
John Krasinski.
And I don't think so.
No.
I think that's why they put him in. Multiverse of Madness was to go.
To shut him up.
There you go. There he is. All right.
God, fuck. Leave us alone.
Yeah. There you go. Get off our back. Smartest man alive was so fucking arrogant, he was a dumbass and gave away the whole thing. Told a witch who can control everything, yeah, this guy, if he talks at you, you're dead, bitch. And she's like, oh, well, let's just close his mouth.
What mouth?
Turned his ass to spaghetti. That was dope. I wish it had been a little more brutal. Yeah, but it was still pretty graphic for...
Turn John Krasinski into spaghetti.
Yep.
Do they have a mother?
Yep. Good. Someone will be around to raise him. We were like, yo. Oh, my God.
What?
Anyways, because I wonder if Kang will come up in that, because he is a descendant of Reed Richards. And so I wonder if that'll be probably end up being just a post-credit to that. But I am interested to just see how it all ends up coming together, because I do think that's the problem we're at is with Marvel.
How are you going to tangle everything all together?
Yeah, which they've done it once. I have faith that they'll do it again. I just think they need to get there.
Feels like we're probably getting ready to be into another 5-10 year investment.
Right. Yeah. Which that's probably the goal. Considering once Bob Iger took back over, he kind of was like, we got to thin out the schedule and stretch it a little bit, because otherwise, first of all, it's too expensive, too fast, and it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So that's maybe good, maybe bad. I don't know. But
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Could be. So, yeah, the major things here, they did seem to fix the time slippage. The TVA seems to be going to war under the guise of looking for Sylvie, but they even made posed the question, because all of the TVA looked like they were mounting up with heavy artillery and going through time gates, and they're like, all of this for Sylvie? Yeah. And they even kind of were like, I don't think this is all for Sylvie. And so you and I'd wondered, are they maybe just going out and trying to start to prune?
Yeah.
Which again, is that good or bad? We don't know yet.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, right.
Because if that's the case, if they just keep pruning now, then nothing would happen.
Potentially.
Theoretically.
Yeah, in theory, we could stop it. But also, I don't know, because, in the future or past timeline that Loki went to first, the Kang was the statue. And so was he in the future or the past when that happened? Had to have been the past, because he drops the thing and then in the future it's there. the crack on the ground.
Yeah.
Which is why he says that their wines were wiped. So maybe for some reason Kang felt it necessary to hide his existence from the TVA and wipe their memories. I don't know.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. But for a while there, he didn't feel the need to. You know what I mean? Like, so something happened
I'm curious
to the
if
TVA.
it's something that he tried to be like, I'm a ruler, and then it didn't work out. And
So he went,
like,
okay, I've got to put some
Yeah.
myth on top of this to keep him in line. You know, so I wonder if we'll see some of that if we're going to do more back and forth time travel, and that's why they introduced that concept in this episode of like, hey, here's what the paradox of time travel looks like.
That makes sense.
Or instead of doing timeline universe hopping, in this one it's going to be like forward and backward time hopping. Even though we did get to see in the post credits, Sylvie is in branch timeline, and it did signify that as well, which was nice because that'll keep it kind of
as organized as possible.
Yeah, because it's going to become messy otherwise. So to go, okay, she's in a branch timeline. She's not on the sacred timeline. In 1982, in Broxton, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. At a McDonald's.
Yeah, old Mac.
Old Mackie Donald's. And she seems kind of hopeful. Like she thinks, oh man, I'm here. These people are just having a meal. Things seem to be peaceful here. So I think she's maybe overestimating and taking it as a sign of success potentially. Like, oh, this place seems all right. I'm gonna kick it here, and think that she made the right call.
Yeah.
I did a little quick Google after the fact because I was like, oh, what is Broxton, Oklahoma? And it turns out, first of all, it's a real place in the world. And I was like, oh, well, okay. And I was like, Broxton. One of the other searches was like Marvel. I was like, all right, let's see what that is. And in Marvel Comics, apparently after the Thor Ragnarok story in the comics, Thor is reborn and goes to Broxton, Oklahoma, and creates New Asgard there. So I wonder if Sylvie's going to try and create her own New Asgard there.
That'd be cool.
You know, and like, what if she ends up being a little bit of a ruler there, and maybe not in a great way?
Oh,
you know, what does it look like when she gets a taste of power?
Mm-hmm. Power.
Since she is still a Loki, you know, and on the whole, Lokis haven't been great.
What do you think about this Loki that's partnered up with the TVA?
The Loki that we've got now?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? What do I think about him?
What do you think? Do you think he's still like a trickster?
I mean, yes and no. They kind of pulled the little, like we talked about, they pulled a little tricky do at the start of the first season by going, we're going to show him his entire life existence up until his death. And then they kind of used that as like, okay, now he's absorbed all those lessons and he is the Loki that died, essentially, as far as the moral lessons he's learned.
Right.
And so that was kind of a way to just get around having killed Loki.
Yeah.
So I think he might still have some trickster tendencies, but I think he's the Loki that we lost.
Okay.
I don't think he's... It seems, based on the finale of the first season, that we can trust him because I figure He Who Remains, he basically said, you can kill me and take over. And our Loki went, no, I think this guy should stick around. Yeah. And Sylvie was like, I don't know. So I think they are now at odds. But Loki's still got a weird ancestral masturbatory hard-on for his altar. You know what I mean? Like, that was a strange thing when they kissed. I was like, why does this feel gross, but also not problematic at all? You know what I mean?
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
Nobody could get Loki as hard as Loki can.
Right, yeah. That's why I said it's like, it is very masturbatory and ancestral and fine.
And it works out.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was just like I said, quick 45 minutes. Not a lot necessarily happened story-wise.
We got to see
was setting
Owen
up
Wilson.
a lot of... Yeah. Yep, old Mobius. Wow.
He started talking about speed.
Uh-huh.
And I was
Thinking about Lightning McQueen.
waiting for him to go,
I am speed. Speed. I am speed. Ka-chigga.
What comes after lightning?
Yeah.
Ka-chigga.
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 I love when he's fucking at the end of that, when he's just... Wah! Just basically being a tool, and everybody's like, fuck you.
Boo. They shoot the cannons at him.
Yeah. He's like, come on, where's the trophy? Bring out the trophy. And they throw it at his side. Yeah. He's like, all right. But yeah, I mean, it is one of the few Marvel things that, like, I was still looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because the first season is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you know, this didn't make me go, ugh. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, okay. I want to see what happens next. I'll bite. Yeah. I'll nibble. You know, I'll give it a little nib. And so
I'm always about nibbing.
And so I think it's promising to see what happens next. We're moving at a click, my guy. Like, it's only 47 minutes into this thing.
It's gonna be a short episode.
Yeah, I didn't realize. But I mean, it's a
We can have a little mini-sode, huh?
Yeah. But I don't know that I've got anything else about Loki yet.
No.
I do, depending on how the season sways, I do think I'd like to do a season wrap-up.
Yeah.
When it ends.
We won't rate it yet, but...
Yeah. Because it's hard to rate.
Preemptive rating. 3, 2, 1.
Simply overwhelmed, I guess?
Simply overwhelmed.
Yeah. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Like a set. Like if we're doing it on a 100 scale, it's probably in the high to 70s.
Yeah, 75.
Yeah. Unless there's some wild shit in there, you know.
Yeah.
Like if it's as good as last season, I'll be.
I mean, if Loki and Mobius kiss,
there's just a 7.5 minute long sex scene.
No music.
Yeah. What's it from Always Sunny? We're gonna show full penetration. you know, there's some of this penetration, some of that penetration. You know, and it just goes on and on like that for about 90 minutes. You know. Well, they really
thought it out.
Tom and Owen are method, like, you know, unless that was some of that AI that the writers were worried about.
They were actually
having sex, but I don't think that's going to happen. But you know,
fortunately,
I mean, you figure Disney Plus does make you verify your age now if you've got a lock on there, so maybe, you know, R-rated stuff on there. Deadpool's on there. It's got a sex montage in it. Granted, there's no penetration, but you know,
but we could
yet. Yeah,
that's all I got about it.
That's all I got. So, what you been thinking about, Chris?
Welcome back, Chris's story time. Not really story time. No, I went to the Ren Fair.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, so I figured we'd talk about that.
Double dip.
I'm not the double dipper.
Yeah, you are.
I just like, I'm the roller. What is it, the commercial where you can roll the chip in there?
Oh, yeah.
No, I went to Ren Fair. And,
yeah, we did.
It was a whole lot of fun. I spent a whole lot of money on a cloak and a wizard hat that I got a shit ton of compliments on.
Yeah, you look dope as fuck.
Dude, I was on that mystical shit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we found both, like, on our way out, basically, as opposed to, like, early on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you could have walked around the Ren Fair snacking on a turkey leg as a full-ass wizard.
And I got my beard growing in. It's long right now. It's the longest it's been in a while.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, fucking, we saw scrubs walking in there with fake beards on.
Shit.
Couldn't be me.
It wasn't you. I didn't even shave my neck beard because I figured I'd blend right in.
My golly, you did.
And I sure did. Yeah, I'm just afflicted with bad facial hair genes. I just don't grow it anywhere higher than, like, my jawline for some ungodly reason.
I've been able to grow a beard since 6th.
Yeah, you came grade. Out the womb with 5 o'clock shadow.
No, but we had a lot of fun. We walked in there and we just were walking around. There weren't too many variety shops. There was a lot of soap, a lot of like metal jewelry craft, and then like leather stuff.
Yeah. A lot of clotheries.
Yeah, a bunch of clothes, expensive as fuck.
Well, it's all handmade,
and it's a leather.
And it's recreation quality. You know, they're going for authenticity.
Yeah.
Figure I got myself a leather bound
book
that like
30, $35.
Yeah, it was about 35 buckaroos.
I didn't think that was that bad of a price.
No, cut the leather out, hole punch the paper.
We gotta talk about this turkey leg.
That was some fucking chicanery, dude.
So we're walking around, right? And then I'm like, eventually, because we knew we were going to get turkey legs.
Yeah, it's the goddamn Ren Fair.
Right. And so
you don't not get the turkey leg at the Ren Fair.
We're like, we'll walk around first and kind of just see what catches our eye. And then when we start getting hungry, we'll get the turkey leg.
Right, yeah, we'll just call it.
And so we started walking around. And then after about maybe like an hour, 2 hours.
So we're like, all right,
we're like, all right, let's get that turkey leg.
We didn't get our shawarma.
No, we did not, bro. But so we're waiting in line for this turkey leg, and we're waiting for like
ass fucking line, dude.
I'm thinking it was at least like an hour, 45.
Like an hour. Yeah, I don't think it was an hour 45. It was not more than 1 hour.
I would agree with you if it wasn't more than an hour and a half.
It wasn't more than an hour,
dude.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was less than an hour.
I don't know, man.
Just felt long.
That's the thing is like we didn't walk around too much before we got in line for the turkey leg, and then when we were done, it was like 4:30.
I mean, we'd gone down 2 streets.
Yeah, but we weren't lingering.
In fact, you figure we went all the way around one side, then doubled back and went back up the other way past the bar and then around to the turkey legs. We'd been through most of the place before we stopped for turkey legs.
Regardless, we were there,
for a long time.
A long-ass time.
Waiting in line. Yeah, I'm not saying the line wasn't long, but don't,
And then we're the second people in line.
Yeah,
at
literally
that
there
point.
was a couple of guys in front of us, like, a pair of guys in front of us, and then us.
And then
They fucking holler out,
they got the turkey legs.
1 hour wait on turkey legs. And we were like, nuh-uh.
You're fucking with me.
Like, there was about to be a riot, I thought.
And I didn't accept that. I asked him, I said, is there any other turkey legs?
And she was like,
And she's like, yeah, there's another gazebo.
yeah,
got some
like,
turkey legs.
literally.
And there was nobody in that line. I was the first one
it
up
was
there.
a ghost town over there.
And I said, hey, you guys got turkey legs? And she's like, yeah, we do.
Sure do.
And then pulled them out, 2 steaming
Yeah.
fat
Nearly too hot to hold.
turkey legs.
Yeah.
Dude, we took a bite and that juice spit at me.
Yeah. It was like, right at
Like
you.
a loogie.
Yeah.
And then we sat and we watched The Fool for a bit.
Yep.
And then...
I got fucking tilted off of some fucking mead. That was strong mead.
Yeah, that was.
And she was like, you want a small or a tall? Their smalls were fucking small. So I was like, give me a tall. And I took that first gulp and was like, uh-oh. I should have got the small. That was stronger than wine, lighter than whiskey, but it was somewhere in the middle. It was good as fuck, too. I thought we were trying to communicate because it was 2 different lines. And I went over to the beer line because the line for the turkey was so fucking long. And I had said, oh, they've got mead. And you kind of acted pretty like, yeah, mead's all right,
I said, yeah, I like
You're
mead.
like, yeah, I like mead. But it was like, yeah, it's fine. It was very much your tone. And you'd expressly asked me to go get us beer. And so I was like...
I said go get us a drink.
No, you said beer. You said that you got beer. You want to go get in the beer line. And I said, yeah, it looks like they got mead too. And yeah, I like mead.
Yeah.
And so I went over
I
there.
meant, like, yeah, go get mead.
Well, you didn't say that. So I went over there and I was trying to use sign language to you. I was like, you want mead? And I held up the M in sign language. And I held up the B in sign language. And you held up the B thinking I was...
No, I held up my pinky thinking you meant fancy because mead's
mead is
fancier
somehow
than beer.
fancier, yeah. And I was like...
I was like, oh, yeah, mead.
And I was like, all right, B for beer, bitchin', okay. And so I got you a fucking Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, and I was
I'm
like, what
sipping
is
on
this?
fucking honey wine. Just getting fucked up.
I was like, what is this, man?
Because we hadn't eaten. We'd had caffeine on the hour and some change drive. And then fucking just got nasty on it. We ate, what'd you get?
Haggis.
Yeah, because we got to the front of the line. They said no turkey legs. And we were like, well, we've been here. So we're getting something. So you got haggis, I got a sausage roll, and what did we split?
Mac and cheese bites.
Fucking bacon and Gouda mac and cheese bites. They slapped. And it could have just been hungry, but I don't think so. I think they were busting.
They were good.
Unequivocally.
Unequivocally fucking busting.
Busting. So yeah, we ate those, drank some drank. Like you said, watched The Fool for a while.
And then on our way out, we found the wizard hat first, which was a pretty good price. And we found the cloak, which is a really good price, all things considered.
Especially compared to some of the other shops. And it's pretty high quality, too. But you figure even the book salesman that I went to had said, like, our prices are a little middle of the road when you look on Etsy and stuff, but it puts them right in the pocket of, like, yeah, but then we're going to sell more, And so we're not relying on, we got to sell these 4 books because, fuck, man, I got to look for somebody that's willing to pay, $60 for a medium-sized book. Yeah. And they can go, oh, I'm selling for $35, but I'm selling 12 of them, And so they're making their money that way. And so I wonder if the cloak salesman that you went to was the same way.
Probably.
Because they were a pretty hard sale on you, too.
They were.
In a good way. They weren't pushy, but it was
No,
like...
they were.
They were pushy in a right way, I felt. It never
Maybe
felt...
for you.
It never felt rude to me.
Oh, well.
Did you feel like they were being rude?
Put yourself in my shoes.
You walked in there glowing, going, I want a cloak, and they got fucking cloaks. And she went, well, try it on, dude. And then was like, I mean, can you afford it? And you were like, yeah. And she was like, well, then fucking get it.
That's okay. Motherfucker.
You literally sell jewelry for a job.
And I got hustled.
Yeah. You didn't
Swindled.
get hustled.
Walked off, that button fell off.
No, it didn't.
No. No, very high quality stuff. Yeah. That hat's cool too. It's got metal wire in there so I can adjust it and bend it.
The flop to it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the little curve in the point.
I'm gonna use that as a nighttime cap. A bedtime cap.
Just I'm picturing you being like Ebenezer Scrooge in his jammies,
Holding a candle.
you know, with the on the candelabra, with your little nightcap and your nightgown and your night pants.
No, there would be no pants underneath that nightgown.
Who goes there? I almost went, return the slab.
Return the slab.
Just the ghost of fucking Christmas past. I don't know, man. I had a pretty good time at the Ren Fair.
I thought it was fun. It was,
Yeah. It was Viking weekend. There were some pretty dope people, but it was kind of chilly. It wasn't like...
There's a pair of very
ungodly.
opinionated men. There's a pair of very political opinionated men behind us.
Yeah.
Who would not stop fucking dogging on everyone for dressing up at Ren Fair.
And it's like, you realize you're the weird ones
Yeah,
here,
you're the
right?
oddballs here.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it did feel like they went there to people watch, and then we're like, can you believe these fucking losers? I'm like, I mean, they spent $32 to have a good time. You spent $32 to go, what is this place?
Yeah.
So who really lost here? Yeah.
Hey man, just do your thing.
Yeah.
We saw a couple furries.
Mm-hmm.
And we just smiled and waved, man. Do your thing, bro.
Nope. I howled in solidarity.
We had a really good time.
I did too. You all right, man? What's the matter?
I just bit my tongue.
Cat got your tongue.
Mhm.
You all right, man?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Getting off topic here.
not really. I'm going to... I don't know what the fuck we're going to talk about next week. I think next week we watch... we said we were going to do something spoopy.
Yeah.
Apparently the new Exorcist movie's not good. Which doesn't really surprise me.
Not really.
Exorcism movies just generally aren't very good.
We could watch...
I vote we either do a... I said do. Let's just go ahead and address it. I vote that we either do, in fact, watch a spooky thing,
I want to watch something spooky.
or we watch The Fellowship of the Ring.
Nah, I want to watch something spooky. Get over yourself. Let's watch something spooky.
Get over myself.
It's Halloween.
What do you fucking mean, get over myself?
You rolled your eyes like it was a big deal.
I rolled my eyes because you're the motherfucker that literally bought a cloak and witch and wizard hat, and then are like, I don't want to watch arguably the most impactful fantasy property of the modern era.
I'm just saying, I want to watch something spooky.
All right, what do you want to watch?
I don't know, something spooky, like Corey in the House.
Well, something spooky, you know.
Airplane.
Like
Fletch.
in like Flynn. Do we want to watch an old scary movie?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yo, we could watch Alien.
That's a good one.
It's a very good one. It's on Hulu.
We could watch Prey again.
Nah, I'm good. That wasn't a scary movie.
It's still pretty good.
You're like, it scared me. No, I think it's more like an action movie.
Your mama.
What about it?
Yo, mama. Ah, you mad.
Nah, I don't know. What do you want to watch, man? Tell me. We got to do it on air right now. Commit. What are we watching?
Sinister.
That's a good one. I think we should do classic horror movies. Since it's Halloween. We could watch Halloween.
I want to watch Jason X with Space Jason.
That's not good. That's a bad movie.
So fucking bad.
That is a bad movie. I remember watching that too young. Like it was on Stars or something. And I had like my dad's outside mowing the grass. I'm like, well, Jason X, what's this? And I was like, it scared the shit out of me. But then there's a particular point in the movie where I went, this is stupid. Like this isn't good anymore. Not that it was good, but for 10-year-old me, I'm like, oh, this is terrifying. And then I was like, wait a minute. Why are these guys absolute fools?
Dude, the part where fucking Jason just walking and kicks the boom box.
Yeah, yeah.
Kicks that shit to the curb.
Breaks that one dude over his knee.
Yeah.
The guy who's
Pushes that lady down the subway.
Yeah. Such a stupid movie.
Then you get that guy fighting him on the rooftop.
We watched Freddy vs. Jason.
And that's really not a good one either.
I mean, we're not gonna... Horror movies tend to be pretty hit or miss.
So let's watch one that hits.
Yeah, then we get into the thing that we always say we do, which is picking good stuff on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to review anything that's bad now, do we?
Good. There could be some comedy on us going, this is not good. Maybe we watch a good one and a bad one.
Yeah, I could do that.
Here's what we do. We're going to watch 3 movies. We're going to watch Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Corey in the house.
Freddy vs. Jason.
No.
Because then we watched the 2 guys and then we watched them fight each other. And we go, you know what? On their own, they were all right.
Freddy vs. Jason's so mid.
Yeah.
It's all right.
What did we just say we were going to watch a good thing and a bad thing?
All right.
And then you're like, well, that's not good. I'm like, that's why I named 2 good things.
I was hoping
What bad thing did you want to watch?
The Happening.
No.
That's too bad.
That's just not, yeah. That's not even an interesting bad. That's just bad. And it's not scary either.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
But
I think you mean I'll figure it out.
we'll figure it out.
I'll tell you the night we record. Oh, by the way, we're doing this. We want to thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, be sure to give us a great review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to us. Make sure that you're liking
the radio.
Yep, could be.
Live Broadway waves.
We're just going to hijack the AM.
That's right. We're going to hijack the PM.
AM to the PM funk.
My left stroke just went viral.
That's a good-ass song.
It is a good
You almost got me just to go. I lost my whole train.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're liking, following, and subscribing on your audio streaming service of choice. That way you get notified when we post new episodes.
I remember syrup sandwiches
and crime allowances. That's a good-ass song. Stop it. Sit down.
Be humble. Nobody pay me.
Well, yeah. Anyways, stop it. We're going to get copyrighted if we just do the whole song. Just 2 white kids doing, I don't say kids, I'm nearly 30 years old.
Grown ass man.
Yeah. Well,
I'm grown.
you are grown, yes. Fuck, this is painful, dude. I'm starting over.
Hi, everyone.
That's what you're going to do. No. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. If you like this episode, be sure to give us a great review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to us, the radio.
Taking over the
AM and the PM funk.
My left stroke just went viral.
Could have. If you make sure you're liking, following, and subscribing on your audio streaming service of choice, that way you get notified every week when we post. I think we've done pretty good every Wednesday. I think we've gone one day that was not a Wednesday. That was a good old-fashioned Barbenheimer.
Yep.
Which still wasn't our longest episode.
Yeah, which one was our longest episode? Dude, we did one that was like 2... What?
2.5.
No, we were easily pushing 3.
I think when I looked...
Like, unedited.
Yeah, I think unedited, our longest one was 2.5, and it was The Last of Us.
Oh, that is such a good one, though.
I'm pretty sure, because I know that it's like it and Barry were...
You got gnarly bruise on your arm, bro. That's still there.
Yeah, I should have yesterday.
I know. Did you get bit by something? A zombie? Did you see that in North Carolina? There was a cow that has a confirmed mad cow disease.
Yeah,
and it's starting to spread and shit like that.
Mad cow disease has been around for just a long ass time.
Until it makes the jump to humans.
I mean,
that's what it was in Zombieland.
Yeah,
that's just the most historical and
historically
accurate.
That's obviously. Anyways, we keep getting off track. I'm not starting over again.
Get on the track.
This is the 5th time we've done the outro.
It's not what you heard. It's what you're hearing.
Shut up. So,
listen.
You just keep getting me off track with hip-hop classics is what it is. You know me, I'm just a hip-hop head,
Come on,
Come on. Snipe. Anyways, stop it. I don't even remember. Basically, listen to this shit and like it. If you don't, sorry, man. We'll try and be better. How can people let us know that they don't like us?
Yeah, you can always fucking tell us how much you hate us at. You can look at our socials, our Instagram, and our Facebook is Simply Whelmed Podcast. You can always check out our Twitter handle, which is whelmed_simply. Or you can always write us an email at the simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com.
That's right. Send us in your hate mail
and
berate us.
Yep.
I'm sensitive about my weight, and Chris is sensitive about his hair. So
yep,
either of those are fair game.
It's cool. Just make us feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah. You can just
We could
call
start.
us.
We could start doing that, like on TikTok, and like there's people like a Patreon thing you can join, and like people will pay you.
It's like the
rate you.
subreddit. What was it? Roast me. You know, just do TikTok lives where people just call us fat bald pieces of shit.
Oh,
mama.
But
Next week, it sounds like we're gonna do horror movies, good and bad.
what kind of movies?
Horror, scary movies.
Yeah.
So
That's all I got.
fucking tune in.
Yeah. Tune in or tune out, I guess. I'm such a lucky boy. I can't wait to go home. Bye.